Hello, it's Krista here with you again today. And I just want to say that yesterday I finally got my last tooth pulled out in the front. The day before yesterday. So I'm still a little out of it today as my tooth is healing, but they're all gone in the front. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 are gone. And I will be working on getting my plate of 4 teeth in the future. If you all can just bear with me, myself included, hopefully things will come together, financially and everything for me in the future, like things usually do. Just keep praying about it and hoping that all is going to work out in unison like everything else does, synchronistically lately, that if any of you have followed me on here, and have listened to any of my synchronicity videos, how much easier life can become when you do start following some of the universal laws. And I don't know where I would be without being more into the flow these days through meditation, some laws of universal laws and principles, and synchronicity. So, all in all, with that, plus doing my healing work during this process, a lot of coincidences keep falling into place more and more, things have really taken off for me in ways that I never imagined before, where I thought maybe using the universal principles, life would flow better, but not realizing that the inner healing work that I would be doing as well. And I thank God every day for that, because instead of repeating the same negative patterns all throughout my life, I can finally start creeping out of there and moving forward, and even maybe pertaining a better job in my future as well, and a better lifestyle also for my children to follow. This one, I thought maybe I would kind of focus this one today on children again, and marijuana. I'm sure everybody out there is aware that new laws are forming in the U.S. and in a lot of different states now. Marijuana has become legal for those who want to get like a marijuana card. For all different types of health reasons, such as pain, anxiety, depression, and so on and so forth. I don't believe that there is anything wrong with marijuana, although it should be used just like any heavier types of pain pills can be used, because it is a drug. It is natural, but it is also a natural drug. I believe that when you do have like a legal prescription or whatever, and smoking it when you need it is okay, to take away any of that you're struggling with, but also not to take advantage and overuse things, because it can be overused like anything else and abused, and can make you tired, and you can also form an addiction to it. So you have to watch yourself, all of my life I've seen a lot of chronic users of marijuana, where they'll roll big blunts or smoke a whole joints at a time, and just all day long use it, and then become addicted to it, and then really, with any addiction, you want and need more of it, and then it costs a lot of money, and your whole world can revolve around it again, just like anything else. And when things like that take over your life, it's hard to remember yourself. And there's a lot of bad stuff that comes with that as well, like when you don't aren't making like rent or anything when you're taking that and using it to get drugs instead. It falls into the same category, as far as I'm concerned, as any other drug does. So I want to talk about children and marijuana. With these new laws comes a lot more responsibility for parents to watch and look over their children, as to carefully watch what they're doing, because I know a lot of it is going around that sometimes, like especially my son, for instance, my 18-year-old son, will come home and talk to me and tell me, that all the kids are doing it. Like in high school, he would say, all the kids are doing it these days and it's no big deal. And, it's not a drug and all this stuff. And really, I think a good thing to do, even with people that don't know anything about marijuana, should research it very carefully and understand and talk to their children about how to use marijuana and the stipulations behind it, such as the law, for instance. When it is not used with a card, and it's very dangerous as well, because a lot of people get caught in going to jail over it and spending a lot of money in fines, thousands of dollars in fines and lawyers and such, because it is nothing to mess with still. Kids think that they can just play with it like a toy, but it is not a toy. It is serious. It is a drug. And just to become aware of what it is and all about it. There are ways of smoking it, like I was saying, being a chronic user, and then maybe talking to your children about how to use it as well, if they are ever one day to get it legally themselves, as to how to smoke it, like using just a little bit at a time to kill the pain, or use for anxiety or stress or whatever it is, or the depression that a person is having. A person doesn't need that much marijuana. Sometimes just a few hits can be enough. In my long lifetime of having marijuana every now and then, because I do suffer with IBS, and also high anxiety from BPD and depression. I have used to learn it correctly, and one day I would like to get to the point where I do not have to use it all, when I finally started finding natural medicine and getting that diagnosed correctly with health problems such as thyroid in my life, which I found that I was misdiagnosed for years, and finally got diagnosed by a natural doctor, in my 40s. So taking the right natural medicine, thyroid medicine for that, and just kind of taking charge of that pain finally. But when a person does not know really what is wrong with them, and are still finding what it might be, and more natural ways of dealing with things, such as getting the right natural medicines, as alternatives to regular medicines that might dope a person up more than really help, resolve the issues. That's what a person really wants to do, is they want to end up resolving the issue and maybe start eating differently, changing their diets and stuff, like with more extreme things like diabetes and maybe cancers and things like that, or the IBS. 1 in 4 people are diagnosed with IBS, and it's becoming a more popular health problem these days. And it all goes back to our diets, eating a lot of fast food, putting a lot of fried foods in our diets, and things like that can really mess with a person's digestive system. And that digestive system can end up not functioning correctly, and then therefore we can get more things like digestive problems, and then further on creating more illnesses of all kinds in the future. So we can reverse all these things. It's just a step-by-step process. And it can only start with you. And again, when I go back to kids for a minute, I remember the peer pressure myself, like when I was in school and stuff, and how a person can really get sucked in, because a lot of times when we're younger, we're more insecure, and we want to do what everybody else is doing to be accepted by other people. And then it can really, sometimes that addiction can really take you over and lead your life towards more addictive problems down the road as an adult, So it's so important to talk to your kids. I just want to say that even if your kid, that your kid might be smoking marijuana illegally or something, and that they're not going to stop, and they hide it and they just keep doing it, even though you've tried to stop them before, like, with like, punishments and stuff, like grounding them and different things. When they keep continuing to do it, especially the marijuana, there's really one thing left to do, and that is just to keep talking with them about it, and help them put safety first, and just work with them. When you punish them, sometimes they will get even more rebellious, and you're left feeling kind of out of control. But you do have to remember that you can take control over it by learning yourselves about it, and maybe even taking further steps as to, joining maybe like a substance abuse program with them, so you can both learn about it. Safety first, and I tell my kids that these days, and just all of you. Safety does come first, and communication. So, okay, thank you for listening today. I hope maybe I've said my piece, and have a blessed day.